The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plains.
Marion looks smarter already. I hope you've got enough out. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not sure where that is, but you know what it's like. It's like Tiffany's.
Tiffany's? You mean the jewelry store?
I'm crazy about Tiffany's.
Audrey Hepburn. A star, an inspiration, and an icon of complete sophistication and class. But what about the life behind all the glitz and glam? Who really was the lady known as Audrey Hepburn?
She was love, humor, and grace, and open, and knowing, and perfect. She was perfect.
And the love that the woman exudes is just absolutely fathomless.
She sure was a hell of a good actress. She sure was something special.
Audrey Kathleen Rustin was born in Brussels, Belgium, on the 4th of May 1929. Audrey's mother was a Dutch baroness and divorcee, raising 2 sons when she met Audrey's father, an English banker. But in 1934, Audrey's father became a member of the conservative pro-German propaganda. Her mother wasn't so pleased about this, which is why she made the decision to send her daughter to a top boarding school in England at the age of 5.
From a very early age, she was always rather shy and withdrawn and introspective, and it had gotten to the point where her mother was worried about her. So her mother sent her to a boarding school in England as shock therapy. Those were Audrey's words of description, and it evidently worked.
That was where Audrey would learn English and began to form a passion for dancing, something she proved to be very talented at. But while young Audrey was away at boarding school, her mother and father grew further apart, and by 1938 they divorced. From that time on, Audrey would hardly ever see her father again until she reunited with him 25 years later in 1964.
Her father left the family, abandoned them completely. This was one of the worst events of her life and one of the most defining moments of her life in a very negative way. It always left her with an insecurity.
1 year on from her parents' separation, the war in Europe escalated, and Audrey's mother insisted she left the boarding school and went to live with her and her brothers in their new home located in Arnhem, Holland. But they would not be saved from Hitler's power here. In 1940, Nazi troops bombarded her new hometown, and her family home was eventually bombed to the ground. Audrey and her family went into hiding, and she had to make do with eating things such as tulip bulbs and cooked grass. At this time, Audrey did what she could to help the Allied resistance in the time of Nazi occupation, but in all the darkness, one thing gave Audrey a light at the end of the tunnel: ballet.
Did have what they called blackout performances, which were wonderful. They would be performed in someone's basement privately to raise a little money for the resistance. And you weren't allowed to applaud at the end because it would have alerted the Germans. And Audrey once said that her favorite audiences in the world in her life were the ones who never made a sound when she...
By the time Audrey was 16, the war was over, but her hometown was gone. And so in 1948, Audrey and her mother packed up and relocated to London, where Audrey was to study on a ballet scholarship. By this time, she had dropped Rustin as a surname and gone with Hepburn, a name she inherited from her grandmother. And so she was now known simply as Audrey Hepburn. By the time she was 19 years old, with a height of 5'7", Audrey's dreams of ever becoming a prima ballerina were smashed, as she was now considered too tall and, believe it or not, too old to be a ballet dancer.
Ballet is what gave her discipline. Of course, when she went to England, it wasn't just dedication to the ballet and to work. There was the need to work in order to sustain herself.
Putting her dance training to good use, Audrey found work as a chorus girl, which led her to being cast at several West End shows and nightclubs. She became a favourite at Cicero's, not just for her dancing, but for her infectious spirit.
What people seemed to like about her the most was the eyes. The eyes always got everybody. But also she had an openness and an ease about herself that people found not just lovely to look at, but charming as a character trait.
Her performances caught the eyes of several fashion photographers and casting directors. She worked as a fashion model for a little while, but then went on to star in films such as The Secret People and The Lavender Hill Mob.
I saw it as pure luck, of course, that she could not understand why people wanted her to be in the films and what they thought was so special about her, so she made up for it by working extra hard.
She later went on to feature in another small film, Monte Carlo Baby. Whilst on set, the French writer Colette had just finished writing the play Gigi, scheduled to be performed in New York. Colette spotted Audrey sitting around whilst waiting to shoot and said, "Voila! There's my Gigi."
Audrey Hepburn was a dancer. That's what she wanted to do. That's what she was trained to do. That's really what her goal was in life. She became an actress by accident.
And on the 3rd of October 1951, that once unknown actress debuted in the French comedy on Broadway in the Fulton Theatre. Due to the success of Gigi, her name was now recognisable to some of the top directors in the film industry. Audrey was cast as Princess Anne in the 1953 hit Roman Holiday, the heartwarming love story of a reporter and a runaway princess. In the film, a scene made the final cut, even though it was just a prank outtake set up by a good friend and co-star Gregory Peck. Instead of calmly removing his hand from the mouth of truths, like directed, he would fool Audrey into believing his hand was being bitten off.
The legend is that if you're given to lying, you put your hand in there, it'll be bitten off.
Oh, the hard idea.
Let's see you do it.
Let's see you do it.
Sure.
All pranks aside, it was Roman Holiday that got Audrey a nomination for International Best Actress Award at the Oscars the same year.
It's too much. I want to say thank you to everybody who in these past months and years have helped, guided, and given me so much. I'm truly, truly grateful and terribly happy.
Her career had begun, and from then on, it continued to blossom.
He's your Prince Charming, isn't he? Well, get happy.
She appeared in some of the time's most memorable films, displayed extreme talent and versatility. Everyone on the planet knew who Audrey Hepburn was.
May I play another?
Of course.
Oh, you need dusting.
I beg your pardon.
I didn't mean you, Linus.
Thank you.
Outside of the spotlight, she wanted nothing more than to be a mother, but unfortunately, she suffered several miscarriages before she went on to have her two beloved sons, Sean and Luca. In the late 80s, she became a goodwill ambassador for UNICEF, travelling across the globe to actively help children living in poverty. She was said to have travelled more in her time with UNICEF than she ever did filming for the movies. But it was on a trip with UNICEF that Audrey would discover a pain in her stomach was terminal colon cancer. Audrey sadly passed away on the 20th of January 1993, aged 63 years old. But her legacy still lives on today, and her spirit is very much alive.
She was a living embodiment of the best in the human heart.
I think that there are a few people in one's life that you never really feel that they're gone. I have to remind myself that she isn't around.
What a lovely heritage she's left in this world. The films people can see and the joy that she gives them. And I can think of no more beautiful model to try to be like for the young people today, because there are not many like her that one would want to emulate.